Welcome to our intrepid realtors and investors nationwide. Today is Thursday, November 17th, 2021, and this is Mastermind podcast number 354. Congratulations to all of you that made it on the call. Obviously, you figured out the phone number had changed, and that will be the new permanent number. I'm assuming you'll still get reminded for a few weeks, but make sure you write it down, save it in, your Outlook or wherever you save it. So congratulations to all of you for making it here. And if I could state the obvious, there will be no call next Thursday. So we want you guys to enjoy Thanksgiving with your families. We'll pick up these calls on the following Thursday. And let me go around the horn with my partners. I know we have a few stories to share with you, and then we will get to your calls. Just hit *6 and hit 1 if you would like to be first up this week. If I don't get any takers, I won't keep asking, but we want to hear your success stories. We want to hear your ideas, what's working for you, where are your challenges. I know we got Roger Lacey on the line. Roger, you're always good at sharing. We appreciate your input. Chuck, I think you had an interesting lunch meeting this week, and we don't want to hear what you had for lunch, but tell us about the meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm real big on networking, and to the point where I run my own business networking event every single month in order to build relationships. And so out of that networking event, I scheduled a lunch meeting with a guy who owns a property management company in town. So we went out to lunch yesterday, and we were just talking and building. I'm focusing on the relationship. I'm not specifically focused on trying to pry business out of him and that type of thing, because the business comes later. The business comes after the relationship. And as we were wrapping things up, I offered, how can I help you? How can I help you in your business? Is there anything that I could possibly do, particular connections I can hook you up with? And it was just general talk. We've known each other for a little while, but then he asked me what he could do for me. And I said, well, I understand that you work with you obviously have a lot of connections with other agents, with your main client base is investors. So I'm not going to sit here and say, okay, well, send all your referrals to me. I would definitely have time to help you guys out if anybody needs our help. But then he said, hey, I just thought of something. My mom works in the asset department for a local bank. And, because we were talking about probate earlier, and he's like, they need to liquidate those properties as well, which, typically would fall into an REO type scenario. But when it comes to probate, local banks have a need. He told me that the way that they handle their probate properties that come to the bank, that go back to the bank, they interview agents, and they typically interview at least 3 at a time. So he said, yeah, I'll absolutely pass over your information, give you an introduction to, my mother, and see if that might be an opportunity for you guys to be a preferred agent for the local bank. And that was a little bit eye-opening, considering I'm talking about probate with our subscribers pretty much all week long. And just to think of, oh yeah, that's right, those properties do go back to the bank every so often. And and my initial thought was, okay, well, it's just standard REO, and they've already got contracts for agents, etc. But it was very interesting to me, so I wanted to at least highlight it on the Mastermind call that there are opportunities with probate there from a relationship standpoint, and building those relationships with the asset management departments at local banks, which gives you a better opportunity. I mean, if it's a Wells Fargo or a Bank of America or something like that, then those asset management departments aren't typically in your hometown, but having local banks, that's something that I was really pumped about, to be able to, 1, build another relationship, but also 2, have another referral source because we are definitely helping people overcome obstacles through the process of probate. So why couldn't a bank be someone that we help as well?
Well, that's great. And Chuck, I would assume the same thing would apply to local credit unions, which almost every market has those. Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, it probably doesn't apply to the national because they do have a formulaic approach, but well, that's great. That's good to know. And I don't think anybody's ever mentioned that before. So good job thinking on your feet. And the fact that you set up the meeting without any outcome in mind probably, facilitated you getting a good outcome. Anyway, that's great. Thanks. Go ahead.
Yeah, from the networking standpoint, it's exactly how Coach Bruce teaches in the foundations. I mean, being able to set up your team, having a property management company on your team and having a solid relationship. I mean, we talked about how we could streamline that referral process, because property management companies kind of ebb and flow in their quality of service. Sometimes it's everybody's going there because it's the cheapest, and then the maintenance is really bad. But as we're talking with these personal representatives, even if they say that they're going to keep the property and rent it out, why? It doesn't mean that they're going to keep it forever. So a lot of agents and investors are very focused on the here and now business. I need a paycheck so I can feed my family. I got that. But you also need to focus on the long term and build up your database and your relationships for the longer term, because if you can connect somebody and initiate that relationship with the personal representative, introduce them to a solid property management company, and stay connected with them through whether it's a weekly email or however you're managing your contact database, for potential prospects for referrals, that gives you that opportunity to add them to your team, build relationships that can lead to other sources, whether it's through probate scenarios or outside of that, to help you grow your business.
Well, that's great. You get the idea of the week so far. Thanks for sharing. That's excellent. I had a completely different but similar story I wanted to tell. There's a local title company. Well, they're a national title company, but the local rep, who's like their regional manager, she comes in, brings us cookies, and she came in this morning to bring us the scratch pads that she brings every year, and just a very outgoing person. And she always is willing to share ideas with me. She knows what I do. She knows I'm a realtor, and she knows I'm an investor. And I just always ask her, what's working for your agents out there? Because she's got a broad exposure to a lot of different agents and investors. And she shared two things with me. I think one of them we've touched on before. I don't think we've ever discussed the other one. The first one would be, she said she has one agent that is doing extremely well by networking with guardianship attorneys. And he's just made a couple contacts, and he's getting multiple listings, through these two contacts. And she made a really interesting point that I had never thought of before. My nephew is actually an attorney for the county, and he is a guardian for minors. But what she said, the majority of the guardianships today are elderly; they're not minors. The baby boomers, us and our parents, are getting older, and we're getting to the point, unfortunately, a lot of people get to the point where they can't, manage their assets anymore, and they've got substantial assets. So this particular agent, I guess a year or so ago, just made it a goal to reach out to these attorneys that specialize in guardianships and getting great results with it. So I know we've touched on that before, that could and should be one of your pillars, besides probate attorneys and estate planning attorneys. But that's a very unique specialty that I don't think a lot of people are going after. And then the second one she shared with me, I found equally interesting. She said she has an investor that is doing phenomenal working with bankruptcy court judges. He said he got his foot in the door with bankruptcy court attorneys, and the attorneys introduced him to, I think it's just one particular judge, but she said he let it be known that, anything in the state of Florida, I'll buy. And on a regular basis, he's getting some phenomenal deals from the bankruptcy court judges. And what's interesting there is I think the person that has the fiduciary with the bankruptcy court, it's not necessarily to get the highest and best. It's to liquidate the estate and get the people paid. You know what I mean? So my impression of what she told me is this guy is getting way, way under market deals that he couldn't find on the open market by dealing directly with the bankruptcy court and the judges. So I think we both have. Go ahead. Comment, Chuck?
It's Bruce. Man.
Oh, hey, Bruce.
Bankruptcy attorneys have been a major source of business for me over the years. Connecting with them was a complete, and guardianship, by the way. You mentioned guardianship in there as well, but I've connected with guardianship and bankruptcy attorneys by accident. And they are consistently getting people that walk into their office and say, hey, we need to file bankruptcy. They take a look at the assets and their situation and determine that, hey, you know what, you don't need bankruptcy. You just need to get rid of this house, or you're not as far upside down as you thought. Maybe you should liquidate, or maybe you should refinance. And so there are a lot of times that these attorneys, if you're networking and making connections, can easily hand over a lot of business to you. Very easily. So that goes to Jim's point on the bankruptcy attorney and sometimes even the bankruptcy court.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, we're giving you a lot of food for thought. I'll get to our caller in a minute. We do have room for more. Hit *6 and hit 1. The last thing I did want to share with everybody, we have been very encouraged by our response to probatecash.com. We have a number of our subscribers that are receiving and cashing checks already. So again, if you run into someone, whether they're ready to do business, whether they have real estate or not, anybody you talk to in the probate process that has the need to generate cash before the probate's going to be completed, reach out to them and they will pay you a nice $300 referral. And we've gotten some really good feedback from a number of subscribers that are already getting checks. So we have a lot of ideas here. Some work well and, some not so much, but this is one that really seems to be getting traction. So I want to remind you all about it as much as possible. Let's go to our caller. We have in the queue, we have phone number ending in 9632. You're up first.
Hi, this is my first time on your call. I'm glad to be here. I'm new to the world of probate, and one of the things that's been on my mind is, as I'm dealing with these folks in a probate situation, I want to make sure they get the time they deserve, and I want to make sure that with my 9-to-5 job, I don't stretch myself too thin. So just by orders of magnitude, I realize there are a lot of variables that come into play there, but if I were pursuing 100 leads per month or 1,000 leads per month, how busy would I expect to be? This is more of a time budgeting question rather than a success expectation. Does that question make sense?
Yeah,
I think
it does make sense.
Sure,
yeah,
go ahead.
I think it really comes down to a time versus money factor, because if you have the list, then it's okay, how do we connect with these folks? And you can either reach out to them on the phone and call them, which I think is very key and foundational to connecting with probate leads, because all of this is going to come down to a conversation. Or you can spend money to reach out to them, whether it's through direct mail or other marketing medias. So it really depends on your budget and what you're focused on. You can definitely save time by spending more money.
So was your question, I think I saw you post that on our website. Was it the question, how much time do you need to devote, how much money, or both?
It's more time. So if it's just myself initially, and I have some leads out there, and they start to respond, I would be going out to their home. I would be visiting with them. Hopefully, for some of them, I'd be closing. I just don't know at what point does it become a part-time job or a full-time job. I don't have any experience to base that on. And of course, I think what you're saying is, again, there are many variables there. So I could hire someone to do something for me. My success rate, if I'm more effective at closing a deal, that would affect the amount of time I'm spending in closing. So there are a lot of things that vary there, but I just don't know what setting the fire hose should be set on before I start drinking from it.
Here, let me take the time commitment. Generally speaking, for every 100 new leads that you put into your system, and this is also assuming that you would have about 6 months worth of leads. So you've gotten 100 leads a month for 6 months. Once your campaign is fully running, you have a full pipeline, I would generally expect that you'd be putting about 24 hours into dialing every single month. So 24 hours a month, and that would be using a dialer. So if you're using a dialer and you're making about 50 calls per hour, I would expect that just on the phone you'll put in about 24 hours. So that's a little over an hour a day of dialing, and that's to touch base with everyone in your system once a month. So if you are adding 200 new leads into your system every month, you're probably going to be looking at doing a little over 2 hours of dialing 5 days a week. Probably
okay, that's reasonable. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. If you're 300 leads, now you're looking at 3 hours a day. So for every 100, expect to call about an hour a day. And that's once your pipeline is full and once you have your 6 months worth of leads. Up until that point, it'll be a little bit less while you're building that out. If you want to start with some historic leads and just go ahead and pop it on up to 600 to 1,000 leads immediately, I would plan on that. I would plan on 24 hours a month with 600 leads. Hopefully that helps.
That's great. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, and obviously when you're budgeting your time, budget in follow-up. We've said it so many times with probate leads, they season extremely well compared to almost any other lead source. So, there's a significant portion that, it's going to take. What's our friend in Texas tell us, that he consistently gets deals on his 28th attempt to talk to people when everybody else gave up. So just be relentless at trying and marketing, mailing, and calling until you get a hold of them. Budget that in there also. But I would agree with Bruce. In my market, I get over 400 leads a month, and when I tried this as a niche, even at 400 leads a month, it wasn't a full-time job. I mean, I still had plenty of time to do a lot of other stuff, so you should be fine.
Got it. Okay.
Make sense?
That's great. Yeah, that helps a lot. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're very welcome. Anything else we can help you with?
This is great. I'm staying tuned.
All right. And I see Roger Lacey in here. Roger, if you have anything brilliant to share, we'd love for you to come on. My friend and partner, Tim, tells me that I misspoke when I mentioned Probate.com. Obviously, you don't go directly to Probate.com. This is a deal that we have exclusively worked out with them. So you do have to go through the link on our website to make sure that you get credit and you get paid. So just go to your portal and go to My Leads all the way down at the bottom, and there's a link there for Probate.com. And you do have to be a subscriber to take advantage of that at this point. It's an exclusive deal that we worked out with them. So if I said go to Probate.com, I stand corrected. Make sure you don't do that. Make sure you go to our website, fill out that link, and make sure you get credit. There we go. All I had to do was ask nicely, and Roger jumped in the queue. Again, guys, we have room. Hit *6 and hit 1. In the meantime, the one and only, the inimitable Roger Lacey. How are you, sir?
Doing well. Go Hogs. We got a big one coming up Saturday, and just Alabama's Alabama, you know. So we're all anticipating that, and we got a great year going this year compared to what we've had before. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you great. Alabama's no good, are they? Are they a good team?
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see Saturday.
Okay. Good luck.
Talking about foreclosures, I have about 3 years of foreclosure experience in during the last recession, and it was instrumental in helping me value properties that were depressed and had stuff, because I was BOA, Bank of America foreclosure agent, and before they pulled everything from us and went third party on their foreclosures. But it was an excellent experience. And talking about the asset managers within banks over there, you're right exactly. The regional banks that in your areas will do interviews, and they do accept things, but they don't know who you are and don't know what your experience is on that. And I get a couple a year from 2 or 3 banks doing that. It also helped me out with one of my clients who was on the cusp of being foreclosed on. He didn't tell me that he had a les pendens filed at the courthouse, but I knew it. And that's les pendens is a intent to foreclose. It's a letter that goes out to the owner, and they do that. I find that prospecting les pendens notifications is productive. That's another great way to get in and call on people and talking about experience, and as already expressed, connecting with them first in some way and getting them to know who you are, and it really goes a long way to getting to the business part of the conversation. And I have something real quick to say about that. The best way in probate, on a probate call that I have found, is to imagine, if you can, what you felt like when you lost a loved one, whether you're a parent, a brother, or somebody that you really cared about. Remember what you felt like when that happened, and empathy, expressing your own experience, empathizing with your own experience in the introduction of a probate call with words like, I understand a process, bereavement takes time, I appreciate it, I've experienced the same thing with the loss of a loved one, da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and I totally understand, and all of a sudden barriers fall down. At the introduction, before you even get to that, obviously you explain how you found them, and that it's a matter of public record, and you got the list from the probate court and doing that. But removing the initial barriers seems to work well when you relate. When I relate my own experience in the loss of a loved one and how they feel. And that sometimes you just get overwhelmed, and you get stalled, and you find something to occupy your mind other than what needs to be done in order to subside all of that. So I have found that breaks barriers down very quickly when you're talking to an executor or a personal representative of the estate, and it helps quite a bit. But that's what I found that works for me. How about our NLP expert? How does he feel about that?
Yeah, the NLP expert is feeling a little under the weather today, so I'm probably not going to be as sharp as normal. But everything that you just said is spot on. You've got to display some empathy. You have to position yourself as someone who really does understand them and understands how to ask the questions that lead people to open up a little bit. I thought that the way that you just described it was really good, though.
Well, I just found that really kind of brings about how I felt during that time frame, and how are you feeling today? How's it going with you today? As you go through this myriad of tasks that come in front of you that need to be done. What's the biggest thing that I can help with? Boom. You have set up the closing question with what's the biggest thing that I can take off your plate to help you with the overwhelming stuff that happens that they don't want to face in doing that. And in fact, I have found that my most recent find in probate did not come from my county, but it came from another agent who told me that this house in Gravett is been vacant. I knew the family, and the mama died, and she had a daughter, and a son, and the son was disabled. He had autistic. He was an autistic child, and the mom died, and all of a sudden she died in March, and it's not a list that I get, and I just sit there and I said, well, let's go take a look at it. I started pulling records on it, and find out that the only mortgage that was on it was a refi in 2017 for about $87,000. And I look at the house and I'm saying, there's a lot of work that needs to be done for this. This is not government financeable. It's a conventional, or it's a cash deal, or if you can find a credit agency that holds all their own notes, like Farm Credit. Around here, Farm Credit's a big deal, because if it's got land, and this had 3 acres, 1,700 square foot house, and I walked around and I said, this needs a lot of work, and I said, it's not financeable. So I get on whitepages. No, the first thing I do is go to the obituary columns and see if I can find names of heirs in the obituary. I found that the name of the disabled son and the daughter, and I found a sister and 2 brothers. And then I go to whitepages.com and I started looking for phone numbers and ways to call. I called several times with no effect to the daughter. And then I started calling the deceased sisters and brothers, and I finally got a call back from the sister, and I explained what I was doing to try to help keep this. The house was about to go into foreclosure because nobody was making a payment on the thing, and it had been vacant since March of 2021. And so I said, I think I can help you. I think I can help your niece and your nephew, and I know that the nephew is disabled and is autistic, and they might be able to get a couple of dollars out of this house if we start doing it and start looking at doing a probate process with them. And she said, I'm going to call Tammy right now, and I'm going to have her call her. Tammy calls me. Monday, we've got an appointment with an attorney, and I'm just going to turn it over to him to parse through and get the probate process started. But the point of the story is that sometimes the guy that brought the house brought it to my attention, was another agent. And he said, I want to buy that. I'll flip that. And Roger, when I flip it, I'm going to let you list it. And I said, well, I like that, but let's talk about the family. What's the situation with the family? So we're in the process of getting that done. I think I've monopolized enough time. Anybody else want to talk?
No, you are good. These stories are gold, because that's where ideas come from. And I guarantee there are a lot of people on this call that haven't even ever really thought about looking into those things, haven't thought about looking for Liz Pendens. I mean, your stories are educating people, including me. So please continue. Unless Jim or Chuck has something.
No, Roger, I got to give you a lot of credit. You have been with us continuously since 2016. You know, we have so many people that, that come and go, and our most successful people, dig in, they commit to it, and they work it, and you've done that. And you don't get a ton of leads, Roger, but you squeeze every ounce of value out of every one of them. So we always appreciate it when you come on. You're never monopolizing. You're sharing good stuff, man. Thank you.
Hey, Roger.
And we do have. Go ahead, Tim.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you. You think KJ Jefferson, is he going to go pro this year, or is he going to stick around another year?
I don't know the answer to that. We don't know the answer to that yet. But I'll tell you, Pittman is big into the portal. We don't get the athletes like Alabama gets. Alabama doesn't do anything out of the portal. They get all the 5-star recruits and stuff like that, and people wanting to go to Alabama. But Pittman, our new coach this year, last year, for anybody that doesn't know SEC football, Arkansas has been in the cellar for about 5 or 6 years, and we've gone through probably 3 to 5 coaches. And last year we got Sam Pittman in, and we won 4 games last year. Boy, that was a huge turnaround for us. And this year we have 6 wins, and we think we're going to beat Missouri next week. But I'm not sure about that because Missouri's a good team. And Alabama, they're beatable, but I don't know if we're good enough to beat them. But I know that we fight like a Razorback hog. And the cool part about it is we've got a kicker. That was funny. The funniest thing I heard on SEC football against Arkansas was our kicker is Mr. Little. That's his last name, Mr. Little, and he is putting them through the uprights at 60 yards. And it was the way we had won at least 2 of the games that we chalked up this year. After we beat Mississippi State, Coach Leach publicly said they missed 3 field goals, and we won by a field goal. Coach Leach said, "When I get back on campus, if anybody on campus wants to try out for kicker, just show up Monday," because Mr. Little is about 17 years old, probably about 95 pounds. Well, he might be 110, but he's got a leg that is accurate and long, and we're really tickled to have him on the team this year.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
I appreciate it, bud. We're going to let you go. Thanks, man.
And thanks to that football review, our person of the queue dropped out. I guess he's not a football fan. Whoever you were, come on back, hit *6 and hit 1. And you can jump back into the queue. In the meantime, I think Tim wanted to pretty much correct everything I said about the cash advance program. So you want to share that, Tim?
Yeah, I'd just like to clean it up so,
our queue person came back. Yeah, back in the queue. You want to take them first? Okay. Yeah. All right. Next up is phone number ending in 3956. You're up next. Are you there?
Hi, guys. Yes, I'm here. Can you hear?
Yes, sir.
Oh, great. Hey, this is my first time joining you guys.
Welcome.
This is a great information. I'm from Houston, Texas. I just hear randomly about this probate thing. So I'm a real estate investor / also agent, but I'm really focused on the investment side. Probate. I'm not a very big on the probate in the past, just because I'm not very good at, I'm a business type. I don't feel that when I talk to the families, I feel they are paying. Or if I say I feel they are paying, it's so fake. It's so with my kind of personality, you think I still can do this kind of probate, deals?
Sure. And I'll take that first, if I may, and my partners, I'm sure, will chime in. I've shared so many times, it's kind of an old story, but I'll share it again. When I had this idea in 2013, I started doing it in my local market, and I used to say, "I'm sorry for your loss." And then one time I had a guy that said, "Don't be. Dying was the best thing that SOB ever did." And I kind of laughed, and I said, "Well, in that case, congratulations." And the guy said, "You've got a sense of humor. I like you." But I learned early on to say, "I'm sorry for your loss," to me is not sincere, because you didn't know them and you're really not sorry. I find a really good way to start the conversation is just to acknowledge, introduce yourself and say, "I'm sure this is a difficult time for your family." I mean, that's really all the empathy you need to have. Just acknowledge that it's a difficult time, you're much better having sincere empathy like that than false sympathy, if you know what I mean. You don't have to be a guidance counselor or anything. You just have to come with a good intention that you want to help the people. And if you just start with a line like that, "I'm sure this is a difficult time for your family, and there's a lot of different ways I can help you," and then just go into how you can help them. And the other thing, the other misconception that I think a lot of our subscribers have is, that they just, recently lost a loved one. On average, it's about 3 to 4.5 months, I think, nationwide from the time of death until the probate gets filed. So by the time you get the lead, it's probably been a few months, since they lost the loved one, and they're at least past the grief enough that they've made the business decision, to go ahead and sell the property. And then finally, I would just say it's not always a really close relative. Sometimes the heir will be a somewhat distant relative. So don't assume that you need to be a counselor. Just come with that good attitude that you're there to help them, and be prepared to be more patient. Some people will, still be going through grief. But I found the vast majority of them, by the time I spoke to them, it was a pretty business-like conversation. I didn't need to console them or anything. They were pretty much past that point. Bruce, anything you want to add to that?
Oh, I thought that the first point that you made was spot on. You don't have to apologize. You don't have to lay it on really thick. If you can learn just a couple of basic strategy phrases and expressions and use them ethically, and that's the key. Use them ethically. I don't want you to be untrue to who you are. I also want you to know that you will need to mix in some different phrasing into what you say to acknowledge that people are going through something. A lot of times that's all they're looking for. They don't want you to be the shark in the water, but they also they can sniff out when you're not being genuine. And if you're faking tears and you're laying it on really thick, "I know what you're going through, I've been through this," yada, 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 when you haven't, they know. They can just feel it. So using Jim's expression of, "I'm sure this is blank," fill in the blank, a lot of times they'll expand on that. And if they don't, then you could always just mix in some questions like, "Do you mind, is it okay if I ask what your process has been like so far? Were you really close with the decedent?" Okay, you could ask questions like that and just get them talking. Many times when someone opens their mouth and they start to engage back with you, they have no idea what your reaction is on the other end of the phone. And you could be completely unempathetic and black and white. Once you get them talking, they're going to feel like you're the most empathetic and understanding person in the world, because they're the ones that are doing the majority of that communicating.
Yeah, this is all stuff. If you take, once you get started, go through Bruce's Probate Foundations course. And this is, he spends 2 days with you really digging into this on the different points in the conversation, and kind of not so much what to say, but how to say it, and, phrases that you can use, that feel comfortable to you. You'll, by the time you start making the calls, you can just be yourself and you'll be fine. It's not anything where you have to be, where you have to pretend like you're something that you aren't. Does that make you feel any better or not?
Yeah, that definitely is a very good answer. I called some maybe 7-8 years ago when I first started out. I tried probate. I got cursed out on the phone by some lady who was really, really angry. And I actually was cursed out by more than once, multiple times. And that's why I didn't pursue the probate. I thought, well, this is too hard. This is not right. They are not distressed enough. Because particularly from my perspective, I try to get a house cheap. And coming from that angle, sometimes does not go really well with the heirs. Yeah.
I would just jump in there and say the entire time I was doing it, I never had a single person get upset with me. And most of our subscribers will tell you it's very, very rare. So I would suspect that respectfully, I would just say it's the way you were doing it. And you were probably coming across just wearing your investor hat. If you call up and somebody who is, in any kind of a grief at all and, hey, I want to buy your house cheap, it is going to turn them off. So we teach you, don't lead with that. Just lead that you're not Mao the investor. You're Mao the person that specializes in probate, and there's a lot of different ways I can help you. Because a lot of these, you said you have a real estate license. Probably 80 to 90% of these are going to be listings. 10 to 20% of them are going to be are going to be good investments for you. But you don't want to lead with either one. You just want to lead with somebody who can help them. And I promise you'll get a much different reaction than you did last time.
I think the other key point really, yeah, absolutely. I think one of the key points really is that, you use the words trying to get a house for cheap. I think detaching yourself from the outcome when you're reaching out and having a conversation from these folks, and it really is a mindset when you're having these conversations is, okay, who can I help next? Who can I help next? And approaching it that way, and it changes your body language, it changes the sound of your voice, and it really can be, it's the energy that you're sending through the phone that's really, really important. So no matter what happens when you make that call, as long as you have the intention to help sincerely, then you won't get those cursed out people on the other end of the phone. Now, we can't control what emotional state somebody's in on the other side of the phone. But if you go in with the best intentions, with the mindset, and detach yourself from the outcome, then the outcome you're looking for will start to happen for you.
Well said.
Yeah,
we hope you. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I couldn't. Yeah, that's perfect. And we hope you'll give it a try. And if you like, I can have one of our sales associates or one of our team, our admin people, reach out to you and kind of go walk you through the program. Or have you already done that?
No, in terms of the program, I'm not really sure. I've been through some of the program in the past, very high level, nothing specific. Okay. I never enrolled in any programs, but I do have some questions in terms of the program, if you don't mind to ask. Okay.
Sure. And if it's too specific, I may just refer you to them, but go ahead.
In Houston area, right? So we have a major county, Harris County. Pretty much everything is online. And then you have the collar counties, let's say 5 collar counties, and I think half of them, Montgomery County have things online, actually. So Brazoria County, not so much. Fort Bend County, 50%. So the places like in Waller County, and nothing's online. Okay, Waller County don't put those things online, and their system is pretty outdated. Even if you go to their courthouse to pull those data, I'm not sure. In terms of the program, usually I expect you will. I subscribe to certain counties, but in the past,
No, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but this is the kind of thing where I will have someone reach out and explain it to you, because we we find even in the counties where the data is online, we can get you so much more detailed data, and we can get you so many accurate phone numbers that it still saves you a tremendous amount of time. But if it's okay with you, we do have someone else in the queue. I'll have one of our account executives reach out and just kind of explain the whole program to you. It's going to take more time than we have available on this call. Is that okay?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, you're very welcome. And our last caller today, and Tim, this is going to lead in perfectly. I know what he wants to talk about. This is going to lead in perfectly to what you want to close with. So last up this week is Mr. Kevin Rich. How you doing, Kevin?
Oh, good. Thanks. Hi, guys.
Hey.
Long time, first time.
What's that?
When you say not your first time?
Long time, first time. Long time listener.
Yeah. Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah, first time calling. I wanted to share a story, but I did leave a message earlier about the probate cash program. But just wanted to share a story. It was a while back, not too long ago, but had a gentleman call me late on a Friday afternoon, and he asked who I was, and I told him, and and what we do. And he goes, I want to tell you, you've been sending me a lot of letters. And he sounded a little aggravated. So I was concerned, and I just let him go on. And when there was a break in the action, I said, I started to go into, I'll be, sorry about that. I'll get you off the list. He goes, no, wait, hold on. He had a common name. Last name was Smith. He goes, I typically get this guy. He's about 40 miles away. I typically get some of his mail every once in a while. I'm not who you're looking for. He goes, my wife's dad passed away 50 miles away from where you are. Would you be willing to work with us on that? Of course, I said, yeah, absolutely. But just to show, I don't know, just want all the leads, work them all.
You know what? Ask that extra question. I can't tell you how many times over the years I turned wrong phone numbers into deals just because I was conversational. I asked good questions, and that's great. That's a good. Have you gotten a listing yet, or you're still working on it?
Sold 35 over.
Well, guess what? You are the win of the week so far. Congratulations.
That's why
it's an actual deal. Yeah, no, that's great, Kevin. Thank you. Thanks for sharing, and good job turning a wrong phone number into a deal. What do you think you did right there? Just engaged and asked a couple extra questions. Was that the difference?
Just initially, I thought he was a little aggravated, and I was assuming that I was just going to get him off the list and apologize for that.
Yeah.
I just listened and hear what he had to say, and then I had my chance to come back at him. And then when he broke in and said, wait, hear me out. Let me explain the situation.
Don't hang up. There's more. Yeah. Can I? We've heard conversations like that with our subscribers before, where, oh no, that property's already sold, and they were about to hang up, and he goes, I've got a $2 million house myself I'd like to sell. Can you handle that for me? No, I was only interested in the 89.9 property I was calling about, right? Yeah, you never know. Exactly. That's exactly right. Well, good job. You are the winner of the week so far, and I think you're the last caller, so I think there's a good chance you got it. And then you had some I know you had a question right before the call about the cash advance program. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I had one of my clients went through the process, filled out the form, and one of the folks from Probate Cash reached out to my client, and they got the funds last week, and they paid off the bills that they needed paid off. And I was just trying to find out what the process is on my end. How do I get compensated? What will happen now?
So you actually expect to get paid just because we promised you that, right?
Oh, why not?
We got a lot of interference, but I can hear you okay. Tim, you want to take this,
sorry,
please?
I'm outside. It's a little windy right now.
Oh, that's okay. Tim?
Yeah, so here, I assume did you fill out the form?
Yeah, it's all done. My client got the cash last Wednesday.
Yeah, great. They actually, Kevin, they already, I talked to them earlier this week, and I think they got you a check out Monday or Tuesday, so you should be in your mailbox shortly.
Okay, so they send it directly to me?
Yep, that's the way it works.
Okay.
They don't let us get our grubby little hands on it.
Okay.
It's their program. Let me walk through the program for the other people on the call, and that's awesome that you did that. Actually, you were the quickest to jump on it, the first one that got through the process and done already, and we've got a whole bunch of people in the queue now for that they're working with. So it's real simple. You simply go and make sure that you're logged into your portal. This is a subscriber program. You log into your portal, click on the My Leads tab at the top, and in the drop-down box it says Cash Advance Program. And there's a very simple form. We default your contact info in. You simply put in the quick info about the decedent and info about the inheritor who's looking to get an advance, and they will send you money. And they'll send the money to the inheritor. All that's necessary to make this work is that the inheritor needs to be able to prove that as a result of the probate being settled, they stand to inherit X amount of dollars. And they will advance a substantial portion of that, up to $600,000. They'll advance, and they'll do it for as little as $5,000 as far as what they say, and we know they'll go as little as $3,000. And you get $300 per cash advance made to any one of the heirs of your probates. Now, it doesn't just have to be that the will says that, Sally will inherit $127,000 from the will of Joe Schmo. It also can be that they divide the assets of a free and clear house. There are other things that they can place a tangible value on. And it's like any other sort of form of loan with stated collateral. What they're looking to be able to do is make sure that the person has the ability to pay it back once they get the probate settled. The issue here is that you accomplish a couple of things. First thing, obviously, you're quickly differentiating yourself from the last 117 people that called somebody about probate, because you've got something interesting to talk to them about that is a quick change of topic. If they, give you the standard, well, I got a million people that call me all the time about this. Say, well, let me talk to you about something different then. It's another great way to change the subject. The other thing is that the personal representative, remember that in most cases, that's somebody who's working a regular job. This is not something they wanted to do to begin with. They certainly are willing to do it in honor of the person that gave them the responsibility. But in most cases, it's just the way it is. The things go the way that they should, and it all works well, and it's all easy for them. That almost never works that way. So the way that it ends up working is that it's hard for them to deal with it, and they're dealing with pressure from heirs. They're dealing with all the other things that go on there. And so very simply, what you're doing is you're taking the pressure off. If somebody needs money quickly in the deal, then that's the way you can help them. And you can make it very simple, and it's easy. Here's a great testimonial. Kevin, how long did it take from start to finish for your people to get their dough?
Less than a week.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing. They said when we got involved with them to talk about this program, they said, we'll do this really quickly. We promise we know how to do this. We're all over it. I've never heard of anything getting funded quite that quickly other than a payday loan. And, that generally you got to show up for that. And they'll do it in any country, in any state and union, and they really do know what they're doing. So fill out the form, get it done. You're going to help that PR out, and certainly going to make somebody's life easier very quickly. And if you didn't get that deal, this is going to be a great way for you to get that deal. You're going to endear yourself to everybody that's involved in this, and you didn't have to do anything other than you're handing them somebody else's money. You'll get $300 in the process, and everybody will be happy. So that's a great way to end today. Thanks a lot, Kevin, for bringing that up.
Thank you.
All right, and I was just going to add real quick while you were talking, Tim. I was just thinking, just to spark some thoughts when you guys are talking about this. There are so many different ways that this money could be needed and or used. I mean, they may need to make mortgage payments, and the house might be sitting there with a loan that's delinquent. They may need it for upkeep. They may decide they want to get top dollar for the house, so they want to go ahead and fix it up and get more for it rather than sell it as is. So it's just multiple ways that this can be a benefit. I don't think we've ever seen or come up with anything that has as many, varied uses as this does. So just be asking yourself when you're talking to the people, look for those situations where this can help them and throw it out to them. And man, that's great that you got such good results. We appreciate it. I think we may have a shared win of the week between between Kevin and our previous caller. Two great stories. So we appreciate you guys. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. I want to particularly thank those that actively participated and had some great success stories. I want to challenge you. Take one idea, one thought, one thing that inspired you on this call. Go out and put it into practice, and please come back in 2 weeks, not next Thursday, but come back 2 Thursdays from now. Share the results and enjoy your Thanksgiving, everybody. Have a great couple weeks, and we will talk to you in 2 weeks.